Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about a couple tools for interaction. The first tool we're going to talk about is Pear Deck. Now, Pear Deck is nothing more than an overlay for Google Slides. It allows you to take those traditional slides that you've had in meetings, that you've received in your inbox, and instead of being one-way communication that communicates information to you, it allows you and your students to communicate information back through that slideshow. So if you think about what is Pear Deck, it's no more complicated than taking a slideshow and adding a way for the viewers to talk back to the slideshow. So with that in mind, we say, well, why would we need that? The answer to that question is interaction. And if we look at our spectrum again, for the classroom, we have our traditional classroom all the way down here. And it was heavy on interaction because I could walk right up to a student at their desk. I could say hello to that student in the hallway. I could say good morning. I could see what their needs were directly one-on-one. As you move across this digital spectrum, that interaction becomes more and more challenging. In fact, until very recently, moving that type of interaction down this digital spectrum was a real problem. But elements like Pear Deck make interaction a whole new world for digital education. It's not the only tool, but it's one tool that we want to talk about. In the traditional classroom, we used to use a board method, and we would write things on the board. That's great. Nobody would say that that's not in some ways and in some situations an effective method. The other thing that we've done is we take worksheets and we hand out worksheets. Well, again, worksheets are a great tool and in many cases a step up from the board because now each student individually has something they're completing as a proof of learning.
Now, something very simple that we can start with is we can go and we can get a worksheet, either out of the materials provided by our curriculum or off of the internet. In this case, it says draw various elements that are considered natural resources. Another one I found said natural or man-made. Read the directions and circle the various objects or color the various objects that fall into a particular category. And these are great. These are tools that have been used for many years to great effectiveness.
But again, why not give that to the student in a context, but instead of a full worksheet that may be daunting or confusing, in that slideshow, break it down into its steps. Break it down into its individual tasks. We know that the younger the learner, the fewer tasks they can do at a single time.
Why don't we just take that and move it up one notch? We can put that presentation into a slideshow. In this case, natural versus man-made. And this is something that you can either find on the internet or, as I did, just make it custom. Find a picture of something natural, find a picture of something man-made. Then we can go to the next slide, and that gives the definition. Go to the next slide, we can give examples. In class, I would probably hide this component here and have students come up with it in class. And then show them what we put or write it down as we go. Finally, as a class, we could together do this activity, which is similar to that worksheet where we circle all of the natural items or put X's through all the man-made items, but you'll notice there's a little more color, there's a little more pop here, so it's a step up.
So, the joy of something like Pear Deck is I can have a slide that says, find all the words that do a certain thing, or identify any certain elements of this diagram or drawing, or whatever it is that we're doing. Instead of putting it large on a worksheet, do a piece here, have the students respond. Next slide, have the students do that, respond, and in between those, you can give feedback and further instruction. So, whether it's the board, or whether we graduate to worksheets, or whether we graduate to slides that we've all seen, let's step it up another notch and let's move it to interaction. And interaction is what Pear Deck does best. Let's take a look at some specific examples.
All the student has to do is use the 5-letter code given to them by their teacher. And it's easy to remember because they attach pleasant words with that 5-letter code to make it easy for parents and students to enter. Now what you'll notice is that we are in that same slideshow, but here in this case, the students can do it together with the teacher and have it teacher controlled in the free version. In the pay version, the student can do it at their own pace and move through the slides as they choose. And in this case, what you can see is we have the same slide as we would have done in class. In this case, we have the same definition slide we would have done in class, but now there's audio included. So it can read to the students rather than having the students read it themselves.
Okay, everybody, so in this case, let's talk about the
And we can use that audio to help us with those struggling readers or those pre-readers. In this case, we have that same picture drawing that can now be added in from just like the worksheet. So in this case, I want to draw something that is natural. Well, something that's natural, maybe it's the sun. Something that is man-made, I don't know, something that's man-made, maybe it's some sort of light. All right, so now I can draw just like with those worksheets, but we'll see how some of the advantages can be gained by using Pear Deck and slides together. Here again is our circling option. What's natural? Here we go, natural, and the student can circle all of the natural pieces. And again, we can now use other types that we couldn't use in a worksheet, like sorters, where students really just move the sorting on screen. Finally, there are lots of templates that are put together by Pear Deck that are not something you have to make. You just simply have to grab it and change whatever the wording is at the top to match your situation. There are so many ways we can do formative assessment by simply having a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do you understand the definition of natural versus man-made? I think so, and I put my dot over here. On this case, instead of doing the dot, let's use a slider. Where do you fall on this? And you'll notice not only are there words, but there can be pictures. This is another template that was available in Pear Deck that I grabbed, and I just picked it out, put it in my slideshow, and we're good to go. Now, that's what the student sees from Pear Deck. Let's go find something a little bit more. Because you see, if I go to the teacher's version of Pear Deck, what I can do is I can take my average slideshow, I can put it into that Pear Deck with those overlays, and now I can see all the students who are or have taken. So if I have the free version, I can do the online together during my Zoom version and see what every student is doing. But if I have the pro version, students can do it beforehand and I can see their answers later. So let's take a look. Students can still listen to the audio. They can still have it being read to them. But now let's talk about what pictures were drawn by the students. In this case, I have 3 different students, and the example that you just saw me make shows up right here in the teacher dashboard, the sun and a light. But this one was done yesterday, a bird in a house. In this case, you can look at each student individually and see what they chose, or what's really useful for in-class time is you can show lots of them at once, or you can actually show it in an overlay where all the answers are shown at once. So in this case, I can look and quote-unquote grade, even though we're not giving grades because this is formative. I can see what students did, and I'll know if somebody has put an outlier, and I can go directly to that person's and help them with their understanding. So a great formative tool. Again, we can go to the natural versus unnatural. Did we get them right? It looks like everybody got everything correct this time. How's our class doing on understanding? How is our class doing? It looks like most people are good, and this one's pretty good. How's this? Uh-oh. In this case, I have a little more work to do because Samuel and Matthew need a little bit more understanding before they're really up here to the I understand and can tell you the differences. So this is the power that Pear Deck gives you, and it allows you to put these overlays on top of slides to get formative interaction and assessment in your slideshows, whether you're there together or not. That is a powerful, powerful tool for distance and remote learning. Now, the free version has a lot of great attributes, but if you have the paid version, you now get to move asynchronously, which means not everybody does the same thing at the same time. It also allows some of the better or more effective informative pieces like the drawings and putting the audio on top of those Pear Decks. So this might be a tool for you. It may not. It all depends on your situation.
Student, one of the things that we are most concerned about during this time with digital learning is that social emotional awareness piece. Everybody can put one slide in whatever they're doing that has a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And now with Pear Deck, you can have the students choose between those two and you can see the responses. Not everybody can, but you as the teacher can. Better yet, you can have students do a rating system on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is not so good and 10 is awesome. Have the student set a slider to tell you exactly how they are. Because maybe they're not this, but maybe they're not this. Maybe they're somewhere in between. You want another means of interaction? Fine. How about have the student either type to tell you, but in some cases we say, whoa, whoa, whoa. My students are not typers, either because of their developmental level or because of their age. That's okay. Every student loves to draw. And so with their finger on the trackpad, if they have a trackpad on their laptop or Chromebook, or if you have a mouse, same thing, students can draw their responses to that exact same question. How do you feel today? And you can look at the pictures, and it allows you as the teacher to really see what the students are feeling right in the middle of some content that you're going over. And you say, okay, well, that's great, but that's not really school related, that's social emotional. Why are we doing that together? Don't forget, in this time, a student can't learn and function at that high level unless their social or basal needs have been met. So don't discount that. What's the cost? Why don't we just use Pear Deck? Well, first things first. There is a free version, and that free version can be used with your class as a whole in person at the same time for free. It can also be used over the internet together at the same time for free. However, if we want to use it asynchronously, which means different students are doing the slideshow or doing the work at different times, yet it's still sending all that data back to you, the teacher, there is a financial cost to that. But in the situation that we're in right now, the question becomes, for a certain number of dollars, is it worth bringing the best parts of traditional classroom to the digital space? My answer is, it's not just worth it, it's absolutely necessary. But that is up to your district, that is up to your leaders and your administrators. So talk to them about it. Show them some of the things that we've done. I'm not promoting a particular product. I'm not paid by them. It's just a great tool that when I look at our spectrum of learning, I can't imagine doing learning over here for particularly younger students, elementary students, special students with special needs, or even some of my more struggling learners without this type of interactive capability. That's the part that I need to bring from here and put down here. With that in mind, there is another cost. It does require the teacher to take what they would have otherwise put on the board, those notes, and type them into a slideshow. It does require that the teacher take those worksheets that they may have done, which, by the way, most of those are probably in your curriculum anyway as PDFs, and simply break them down into different questions and different slides, put them into your slideshow, and build them in. The last step, though, is the easiest, because especially with the Pro version of Pear Deck, you have a number of these pre-made slides that all you have to do is change the question on to set up thumbs up, thumbs down, slider, draw a picture, or whatever. So there is a time cost to the teacher. But wait, as every good infomercial states, there's more. Once you've put that time in, that's time you're going to get back over and over, because especially if students can do your work at any time and in any place, that means whether you're at school 5 days a week, whether you're at school 2 days a week, or whether you're never in the same space with those students, as long as you've trained them on their routines, this tool that you've put together through slides combined with Pear Deck means that you can move up and down that entire spectrum of learning without a hitch, without pausing, and without trouble, because you've trained your students on how to use a great resource that is enhanced with a great interactive opportunity. So, take a look at Pear Deck. It may be right for you depending on your area.